Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our coverage of the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, and we'll jump right into our battlefield coverage of kind of what we're seeing on the ground. So first and foremost, the Oromo Liberation Army continues both its military operations and, more importantly, its expansion of recruits and manpower as we are seeing the OLA continue to expand and operate in both the western and southeastern Oromia region. Again, large areas of the Oromia region are currently under the control of the Oromo Liberation Army. If you look on my map here, again, the areas that are in yellow indicate areas under the control by the Oromo Liberation Army. And for all intents and purposes, one could say, the area around Addis Ababa, also known as Finfinne, is completely under the control of the Oromo Liberation Army, and we've continued to receive reports and get information about some of these main arterial routes around the country being cut off by the Oromo Liberation Army as the OLA continue its own anaconda strategy, just as the ENDF, the Abiy Loyalist formations, and the Eritrean Army continue its own anaconda strategy against the Tigray region. Additionally, we continue to hear reports of a possible large military operation by the Tigrayan Defense Forces in a direction towards western Tigray. Again, we continue to hear about very large force concentrations running from Shiraro in the what we would call the Badme sector, all the way down along the Tekezi River, all the way down towards DRK. And as we know, we've continued to receive reports that TDF units continue to infiltrate into the western Tigray area of operation. So the big question at this point, could we see a large operation by the TDF? I know I've been talking about this for several weeks now. And again, given that the TDF is largely a footborne army, meaning there is not a lot of mechanization, and a lot of the Tigrayan Defense Forces offensive posture was directed towards areas south of Alamata and along the southeastern quadrant, directed towards the Amharan border to the southeast. Now, since that fairly successful invasion of the Amhara region, in which we observed the TDF seizing control of Dese, Kombolcha, taking Kamise, and then heading further south all the way towards Debre Burhan, a lot of that force posture now appears to be directed now towards the western Tigray region, and a possible large-scale military operation, again directed against those Amhara militia units that are now predominantly operating in western Tigray. We know some of the better units within the TDF could possibly have been maneuvered, moved towards western Tigray, and those units could possibly be seen entering western Tigray in an operation in the not so distant future. We continue to hear about border engagements between the Eritrean Army and the TDF within the Badme sector in this area where you can see my cursor scrolling. I would also find it interesting that if in fact the Tigrayan Defense Forces actually made a move into Eritrea in an attempt to cut off a lot of these forces, these Eritrean army forces that are based near Hirmora. And obviously that would be an operation in which the TDF would cross over, possibly seizing the Badme area and then continuing to move in a westerly direction to cut off Hirmora if in fact another ground offensive was launched within the confines just across the Tekezi River from the Tigray region proper in this area. But again, we can't say for certain what's going to happen. It would appear that preparations are underway for some sort of military activity by the TDF. Again, is that in the direction of the Eritrean border, or is that a more of a massive move into western Tigray? Again, very, very difficult to say at this point. We continue to get information that that would indicate that a possible operation could be in the works if some sort of political solution is not that does not actually occur in terms of deoccupying Western Tigray and handing over Western Tigray back over to the Tigrayan Defense Forces and the Tigrayan region. And again, that is one of the important elements of having that shared border with Sudan that would then give the Tigray region the ability to supply itself via the border with Sudan. But again, we continue to watch this very, very closely. We have heard reports, again, that obviously military activity continues both in the Afar region, and of course, we continue to see that preparatory work facing Western Tigray. We'll continue to keep an eye out for what is happening, and obviously if and when a military operation starts in the direction towards Western Tigray and or into Eritrea itself, we will certainly report on that and continue to cover it. And again, once we receive information, we will, of course, report that information. But again, given the situation on the ground, given the restrictions by the Abiy Ahmed loyalist government in Addis Ababa in terms of the restriction of both communications, internet access, and just the movement within the Tigray region coming from other areas, it's very, very difficult to get information from the region, and we clearly understand that. But again, as we receive information, and if you, the viewer, have information that you would like to report, feel free to send via our attached email via the actual channel itself under the About section. That's all we have for today, and of course we will have more to come in the very, very near future. Have a good day, everybody.